It's coming, 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 coming.
Yo, what is going on, Woodrowers? It's your boy Finicki back with another video, and today we are going to continue the Ultimate Guide series with Bloodhound, the technological tracker. Some call it the Bluth Hunter or whatever, however you say it. I don't really know, but they have an accent. Bloodhound has an accent, and no one really understands it, but it's kind of funny, so we just kind of go with it. And per usual, guys, if you guys are enjoying this type of content, this type of guide, this type of thing, please make sure you guys leave a like and tell me what you guys think down in the comments. And please consider subscribing if you haven't already, if you do end up wanting to see more of this type of stuff. We are going to continue the same format where we go over his background, we go over his abilities, and then we go over the ways to play him / what are some improvements to make this character into a more viable character than they already are. So I hope you guys are ready for it, so let's hop right into it. For those that are familiar with Titanfall, there's a lot of lore that's connected into Apex Legends, but with Bloodhound, he's kind of that exception because there's not a lot of lore tied to Bloodhound, but his Raven's name is Arthur, and other than that I didn't know much. So I went to EA and found this article that says Bloodhound is known across the Outlands as the greatest game hunters the Frontier has ever seen. And that's all that really anybody knows. But there are rumors that Bloodhound is a fabulously wealthy individual, bloodthirsty murderer, a Goliath whisperer, whatever that is, a former slave, half-bat, and a dozen other things depending on who's doing the talking. Even though we don't know the identification really of Bloodhound, we do know that he believes in the Norse gods, and that's whenever he says, "All Father, give me sight," and that's kind of how he got into the games and why he does what he does. So before we get started into his actual abilities, we want to look at his class, and he's actually in the Recon class. Him and Crypto, as of currently of this video, are the only two legends that have the ability of getting information through their abilities, which is a big reason why people like to have Bloodhound on their team, so they can get information without having to sacrifice potentially their life. So keeping all that in mind, we're going to go over his passive ability called Tracker, and I'm going to put it up on the screen that you can see. It says, see tracks left behind by your foes. And you know, this is an effective skill because you're able to see what the opponent had recently done in the match. So either they were running in a certain direction, they were healing, they either went vertical or they dropped down from a high area, and you can see that there was a recent kill in the last 70 seconds. This is why I mentioned previously why he's effective, because he can choose to either be aggressive with this information or be passive with this information, but either way he can ping that he is on a tracker, that there was an opponent recently that had passed through that area, giving the chance for your teammates to either be following you as a Bloodhound, which is what I would recommend if you have a Bloodhound on your team. You want to be following this Bloodhound because they have a track, they have a scent, right? So you're wanting to be following them into action. Ultimately, I feel like this tracker ability gives Bloodhound the freedom of choosing to be aggressive or passive, and so that all kind of depends on you and how you want to use him. Wait, hold on. I'm sniffing.
What, Ranger on the R9?
No, on R3, I think.
I'm sniffing. No. I can smell him.
Run them down then, brother. Lead the way. That smelly smell. That smells smelly.
But overall, I feel like this is a phenomenal ability to be able to relay information. Next is his tactical ability called Eye of the Allfather, which briefly reveals hidden enemies, traps, and clues throughout structures in front of you. I think we've all kind of been in this situation where you get scanned and you're like, wait, what just happened? You used to not be scared of the scan because once you got scanned, all it would show is where you were at for that 1 second. After you used your scan once, it didn't really matter because then the people could move. But with the recent changes to his kit and to his tactical ability, you're now able to track through for about 3 seconds after you hit somebody the tactical ability. And you know, we've always kind of joked with Bloodhound in how he's super easy, which he is. This is definitely a beginner legend, but the funny thing is, like, you can still get the quote-unquote fat scans. All right, so that's whenever you get a scan that is more than 2 people in one scan, and that is massive for team information.
Oh, huge.
That's fat.
Huge.
That's fat. Oh, he's here. Let's go! Another part of his tactical ability is the vision of seeing traps. So that includes caustic traps and that includes Watson traps. So you're able to see them through the wall, through the floor, whatever, and know what areas to avoid. This is also really good information of knowing what characters your opponents are running, so you know how to strategically go against them. It is also important to remember that his cooldown on this is 35 seconds each time you use it without a gold helmet. So remember that you really only get to scan probably about once or twice in a fight. So use it selectively, use it wisely, and use it well.
I literally hit everybody in there for a...
Oh, that's huge scans right there.
Yeah, it was fast.
Oh,
yeah.
I hit them all. Real quick, then I'm on my way.
You got one drop down.
You don't need no help.
Okay! Next, we're going to talk about Bloodhound's ultimate ability called Beast of the Hunt, which enhances your senses, allowing you to move faster and highlighting your prey. I'm sure by this time, if you are looking at this video or if you played Bloodhound already just a tiny bit and you're able to use his ultimate, you realize pretty quickly that there's some changes that end up happening. One of the first things that you notice real quickly after he throws his hands up like he's doing the Thriller or something like that, your whole entire HUD turns gray and your opponents start turning bright red. This honestly takes a little bit of practice to get used to, or just using him in general, because we're so used to having everything in color that whenever everything shifts and there's no color at all and there's just bright red, I'm not gonna lie, for me personally, it's kind of hard. So I just had it took time for me to get used to it, and I'm starting to enjoy it now.
Huge.
In here as well. Another one. Oh, there's 2 here. There's 2 here. Full team.
He's in here.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Give me gun shield down.
I'm going here. Pushing.
I got a random caustic on me. Hold on. It's definitely 2 teams.
Yeah, it is. You get 35 seconds to use your ultimate, and so during those 35 seconds, you're allowed to just go absolute hammer bammer. Just remember that it takes 3 minutes to regen your ultimate. And when I mentioned earlier that enemies turn red, that's for the whole duration. So you should be able to see through smokes of any kind, including caustic gas and Bangalore smoke. Last thing to remember about the ultimate is it is your only form of escape at all. So make sure that you're using it wisely and when you need to. So to begin our last little segment on how I believe he should be played, I personally believe that he should be the scout, the entry player that should be the one that is getting as much information as possible and giving it to his team to be able to make the right decision in a team fight. Bloodhound has 2 weaknesses. One of those weaknesses is using his tactical ability. The opponent can see the pulse that comes out of Bloodhound, so they're able to know where the Bloodhound is also located, even though the Bloodhound is getting the information of where they are also located. His second is that his only way of escape is through his ultimate. And even though his ultimate is very strong and very good, there's a loud noise that is almost like a hissing sound that is going on. You can hear the heavy breathing, and that is a problem because the opponent can hear when the Bloodhound has his ultimate, so you're able to aim down sights and know exactly where to look whenever the Bloodhound is on his way to the enemy. Bloodhound is an incredible legend for public matches and sometimes for ranked, but for the most part you're not going to see Bloodhound in a very high level competition due to his abilities being kind of lackluster and can kind of handicap your team in some way. In my opinion, to make Bloodhound more of a super competitive viable option, you would have to see his tactical ability be able to be scanned, and then it stays on the individual that was scanned for about 20 to 30 seconds. Something that gives him a little bit more of a reason to be picked over other legends. As well as his ultimate would need to not have the loud noise so that opponents can't hear whenever he's using it and know where to look. Overall, I think Bloodhound is a viable character that I think new players should be drawn towards, and he has his moments of being super good and super average, but one of the best things is his ultimate, so just remember to use that and play like freaking Rambo. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, please leave a like and tell me what you guys think in the comments. God bless. Deuces, baby.